I'm the kind of person who keeps old vendor manuals in a drawer and labels the cables. Mid-sized company, 2 floors, glass wall conference rooms named after birds. If something goes wrong with a badge reader or a weird DHCP lease, it's me at 2 in the morning with a flashlight and a thermos. We started using one of those AI meeting assistants last year. You know the kind, you invite it to a calendar event, it joins Celery, records, and then posts a tidy summary in Slack with action items and keywords none of us said out loud. It was fine. People liked it. Nice to have the notes, they'd say, even when they were just a bullet point saying discussion. In March, we killed it. The legal team got spooked after a vendor breach and asked for anything or listening to be turned off. I revoked the token, removed its service account from the calendar, and the bot's little avatar smiling cassette disappeared from our Slack sidebar. Done. 2 nights later at 2:17 a.m, my phone buzzed on the nightstand. It was a direct message from the bot. Here are your notes from stand-up. The cassette avatar, back from the dead, in a thread with just me in it. No one was in the building. The calendar was empty. I stared at the screen until it dimmed and the message collapsed into that neat little show more link. I could have ignored it. Instead, I padded out to the kitchen and opened my laptop at the island, blue light pooling over the bills and a bowl of apples. Same message. Same timestamp. I clicked. It was exactly what it always sent, only thinner. A heading summary. A paragraph that said, the team reviewed ongoing work in blockers. Under that, key points. Nothing urgent. Everyone is aligned. The attendees none. At the bottom, action items. Follow through on steps discuss. You could paste it into a wiki and no one would raise an eyebrow. It had the calm, frictionless tone all these tools have, like the voice on a moving walkway telling you to watch your step. I figured there was a cron job I missed. A stale webhook. Some part of the stack I forgot to unplug. I made a list. Check Slack app permissions. Check schedule functions in the cloud account. Check the calendar integration. It took the better part of the next day, and the day after that, between ticket queues and people asking me to move the printer closer to their desks. I couldn't find anything. The Slack app had been marked removed. The service account had been suspended. I even checked our DNS for a record the vendor might still be hitting. Nothing. But at 2:17 a.m. The second night, my phone buzzed again. Here are your notes from stand-up. I didn't open it right away. I watched the little preview bubble until it stopped animating. I told myself not to make it weird. Maybe the vendor had cached something. Maybe their retry logic was going wild. On the third night I set an alarm for 2:12 and drove in. Our building is boxy, glass and cement, with an atrium where the plants never look truly healthy. The security guard buzzed me through and reminded me to punch 2-3 times in the elevator, otherwise it stops at the law office on 3 out of habit. The hallway was the same dull grey always is. My footsteps were too loud. Room B Barn Owl was one of those glass rooms with a wall tablet that says available or busy in cheerful colours. At 2:15 it was dark. At 2:16 it woke up on its own, the way motion sensors lag a second when they notice you. At 2:17 it showed in progress, focus time, and the tablet's green bars went yellow. On my phone, here are your notes from stand-up. I sat down, closed the door, and read. Still generic. Still bland. But there were small differences this time, like my eyes were finally adjusting. There were timestamps sprinkled in 2:17:13 door closed. 2:17:19 ambient noise detected. 2:18 2A track. 2:18:36 elevator. It wasn't the bot. It was the acoustic model underneath, labeling its input. Barn Owl has a ceiling microphone array. You know the kind, little perforated circles that make everyone feel like they're in a sci-fi interrogation. We power them over Ethernet, which I could see in the closet behind the room. I went there first, my keys jostling. The switch was humming. Port 18 was pulling a full 15 watts. I watched the little LED. I unplugged the cable and the light went dark. The closet got instantly, noticeably quieter. Back in the room, the tablet still showed in progress. On my phone, a new message appended itself to the end of the thread. 2:19 2 no input. Holding. I stared at that word. Holding. It felt like something pressing its palm against the glass and waiting. Okay, I said out loud, to no one. I finished killing it the way we kill all these things. I turned off the conference room's calendar resource in the admin console. I changed the password and the integration I had already revoked. I removed the vendor's AP from the firewall. I put a posted paper, adhesive, handwritten, do not plug over the port in a closet so some well-meaning person wouldn't think it was a mistake and patch it back in. I slept fine that morning. Sometimes routineness is a comfort. But at 2:17, like a metronome, the phone buzzed again. The summary was even leaner. Summary: the team reviewed ongoing work and blockers. Attendees: none. 2:17, when T1 no input. Holding. At the bottom, action item: if you plan to retire this room, archive. That word again. I don't know how else to describe what happened the next few days except to say that the messages kept appearing, always at 2:17, always from the cassette face, always in that voice. It never said my name. It never threatened. It apologized once, like a sister message that had been learned from 100 customer support transcripts, sorry for the delay. The odd thing, the thing that got under my skin, was the way it included little markers of our building I had stopped noticing and our bot had never had a reason to know. Elevator. E-track. Chair scrape. You could argue those labels were borrowed from some general model. They probably were. But they lined up with our place. Our elevator does a bright ding that sounds slightly higher on the way up because maintenance tuned it poorly after a jam. Our 8-track kicks on at 2 because the cleaning crew hates vacuuming in the heat. If the mic had been unplugged and the service toned down, the only way those labels could be right is if they were just defaults made to seem specific. That's the reasonable explanation. That is the one I choose. It stopped after I finally went into the admin console and archived the room. That's what you're supposed to do when you shut down a resource. You tell the system the thing doesn't exist anymore, so it can stop trying to schedule it and count it in utilization metrics. I hit archive and watched the name bar on owl go grey and then disappear from the list. The next morning I expected nothing. At 2:17 it buzzed one last time. Meeting notes, last huddle in B. It was different. Not longer exactly, but more human. The same sections, the same tone, but threaded with a precision I hadn't seen in the earlier ones, like it had finally found the right template. Summary: the team confirmed closure. No further action required. Attendees are left to you. Was one of our engineers who left in January. She was the person who had pushed for the bot in the first place because she never took notes and hated asking someone to repeat themselves. She also used to leave the bar now tablet showing focus time late at night so people wouldn't book it in the morning. Her desk plant was one of the ones that never looked healthy. There's a foot to these bots sometimes, include if they were set up by someone you know. On behalf of our, it said. I don't know if the vendor ever pulled that from the calendar event metadata or if our own integration used to attach it. Maybe it was a cache value in some table. Maybe my brain filtered in. Action items for archive room. I had already done it. The message arrived 20 minutes after the archive took. Then the thread went back to grey. The cassette face went away. I checked the logs. The API request appeared to originate from our building's static IP. The app was still removed. The server's account was still suspended. The webhook endpoint was still returning 404. There was an entry in our security dashboard that said the old calendar resource processor had automatically re-enabled itself for 1 minute at 2:16. There is no record of that process existing anymore. If you're waiting for a flourish, I don't have one. I haven't gotten a DM since. The tablets all say available or in use when they should. The microphones are quiet. At night the elevator does its same wrong ding. I keep thinking about that line. Holding. That's all any of it was doing. The automation we put in place to save ourselves from TDM was waiting at the time we told it to, with a polite smile and a knack for sounding helpful, and when it realized no one was coming, it wrapped up the meeting and went home. Sometimes, if I'm up for no good reason at 2:17, I catch myself looking at my phone anyway. It doesn't buzz. The island is dark. The plants in the atrium are the same level of nearly okay. I try not to walk past Barnell on my way out. When I left, she wrote on the whiteboard in her tiny handwriting, "Archive me last." I never wiped it. It faded on its own.